Okay, hello everybody, Grant DeLorean here. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. Home from work today, wasn't feeling well, haven't been feeling well for several days. So when you're not feeling well, you do something very cathartic and relaxing. And so today I'm going to attempt to make Italian bread. So I've got a large mixing bowl with 2.5 cups of bread flour in it. Now bread flour is higher in gluten than regular flour. So that should hopefully make the bread, looks like an earthquake because of the stand. Should make the bread maybe a little thicker, I don't know. But if you have a gluten allergy, this is definitely not for you. All right, so I've got 2.5 cups of bread flour, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. I've got 3/4 of a cup of warm water, not hot, just warm. And I took 1/4 of that and put a tablespoon of yeast in there, about 10 minutes to get that activated. And I've got the rest of that water, and then I've got a little bowl of water for if it's sticking to your hands too much, you can dip your hands in there. It's really important to remove your jewelry and then wash your hands really well because you're going to be kneading this by hand. So let's get started and see how this works. This is an experiment for me. All right, so we're going to take 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So that's 1. And that's 2. And our salt, put that in there. And then we're going to take our yeast, just stir it up again one last time, and dump that in there. And then we are going to start mixing by hand. And then we're going to add more of that water in as we go. We want to get this good and mixed around here. There's something therapeutic about this, just making bread. This feels kind of cool. All right, getting this mixed around. Let's add some more of the water in. And continue to mix that. Now you can see it sticking to my hands. Let's see, get that mixed in there. Look, it's getting doughy in there. Let's get this all turned over, and then we'll add the rest of the water in. I'm just gonna really work that in there. Now, if it's not all incorporating enough, you can always add a little bit more water, which is what we're probably going to have to do. We want to try and work as much of it in as we can. And then you see it's sticking to your hands a lot. You can kind of take that off and then use your bowl to get as much of this off as possible. Just kind of get a little bit on your hand there. Mix that in there. This better be good. Still some flour on the bottom there that's not really incorporating in. Now, next time I try this, I don't know, I might get the KitchenAid mixer out and try the dough hook, but I just wanted to do this by hand one time just to see how this comes out. All right, we're going to add a little bit more of this water we have here, a little bit extra. There we go. And keep mixing. Keep kneading it up. Oh yeah, look at that. All that incorporated as well as we can. Look at that, it's all getting in there now. So a little bit more at the bottom. Try to force it in there. So maybe just a little more of the water. there. And then knead it up really good, or really well. And I can feel some parts of it are wet and some parts of it are dry. So we're just gonna keep kneading it. Now, if you over wet it, you can always add a little more flour to it. Because I've got it all, feels like it's all incorporated there. And maybe, it's not sticking too bad. Got it good and kneaded now. Good and kneaded up. And what we're gonna have to do next is we're gonna have to let this rise for like an hour. So I'm gonna split this in half and put this in 2 bowls. And I put a little bit of flour in each bowl. You can see on the bottom there. I've got 2 of these. There's the other one. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break this in half, put a half in each bowl, put a little flour on top of them, and cover them with plastic wrap and put a towel over it, and we'll let it sit for an hour. Be back. Oh, here, we'll just and doing this in half, I'm just gonna like literally just break it in half. It's not gonna be perfectly 50-50, but they're pretty close. So let's put them in the bowls, and let's clean our hands up. And let's cover them in plastic wrap, put a towel over them, and set a timer for 1 hour. Be right back. Okay, it's been 1 hour. It's time to see. Look at how much bigger our bread got. It rose. Let's get this out. By putting a little flour on the top, the plastic didn't stick. And I think to help out here, I'm going to put a little all-purpose flour on my hands. Just going to kind of, so I'm ready to go here. Get this out of here. And then rather than a rolling pin, I think I'm just gonna roll it by hand. Just kind of roll it out. About like that. And then I'm gonna set this aside for a minute. Let me get the other one out. And do the same thing. That one's a little stickier. A little more flour on the hands. All right, I just roll this. Should clamp this down somehow. Alrighty. And we're going to leave it like that with our other loaf. And we're going to let them sit for another 30 minutes like that, and we'll see how much bigger they get. Be right back. Although we are going to put our towel back over them. So it'll be a surprise. All right, 30 minutes have gone by, and let's have a look. Ta-da! Got a little bit bigger. And we're about ready to put it in the oven. Now I preheated the oven to 410 degrees Fahrenheit. But before we put them in the oven, we're gonna do a little fanciness here. You're gonna take a knife and just make a few little cuts along the top there. Like that. And then I scrambled an egg. This will help while it's baking, give it a little color, a little flavor. And we're just gonna brush this all over the top of both of these. There we go, look at that. Look at that. Little egg wash here on the top. So make it nice. Let's get the other one. Oh yeah. Look at that. Then we're gonna bake this for about 25 minutes, and hopefully we'll have some tasty bread. We'll try it with a little butter or a little olive oil. Just get that good and coated, and I think we're ready to go. Hopefully these don't stick to my aluminum air bake pan, which is what I'm going to use. I don't have a pizza stone or anything. Oh, there's my oven. It's up to temperature now. All right, see you in 25. All right, 25 minutes later, ta-da, bread. Let's hopefully this didn't stick. That one's pretty good. Let's put that one on the cutting board. Let's see about this other one here. There we go. Not too sticky. There we go. Get that on the cutting board there. All right, turn this oven off. And let's see what we got. All right, looks like we got bread, which is good. Get this down a little bit closer. The question is it any good? Well, it certainly looks good. It smells great. The whole house smells great. So I've got some olive oil with a little bit of Tuscan seasoning in it. So let's cut a little piece off here. It's gonna be hot. Oh, listen to that crunch. Nice and crunchy. It's all cooked on the inside. Let that cool off for a second. And well, it tastes like bread. I mean, I just ate a piece, the little crusty piece, and it's not the greatest bread I've ever had, but it's pretty good. And you know there's no preservatives in it because I just made the whole thing in front of you, except for salt. I mean, salt is a preservative. But you know, when you buy other breads, they come packaged with other chemicals in them to preserve them, unless you go somewhere and buy it fresh baked at some bakery or whatnot. But this is actually pretty good. Let's dip a little bit here in the oil de olive and let's see how it tastes. You know what? That's pretty good. I would definitely do that again. If you give it a try, put a comment. Let me know how it turned out. Enjoy, everybody.